So I'm going to be honest, I had kind of a lousy day at work today. I get in first thing this morning and try to log into my computer, into my corporate account, which is what gives me access to everything work related, and discover that my account has expired because my manager slash director did not take the time to remember to renew that expiry date, and so on February 2nd everything just expired and I was locked out. So I spent my day sitting at my desk not really working because I couldn't, because everything is literally online now. And I mean, the positive thing is that I finished reading the first Hannibal Lecter novel, Thomas Harris's first novel that involves that character, Red Dragon, and it was a great book. But my day was made immeasurably better by a few minutes ago coming home and passing the mailbox at the end of the street and opening it up to find a package of books that I ordered. So these are books that I ordered on AbeBooks. If you don't know about AbeBooks, I will leave a link in the description. It is a great marketplace for used booksellers. I buy a lot of things on there, and I've had fairly good success. It is hit or miss with the sellers, but I would say 95% of the time I get what I'm looking for. The only thing that I don't like so much is that shipping to Canada is often quite a lot. And of course I'm buying things in US dollars, so that does have to get translated into Canadian dollars. So the price I see is not what I'm paying. So for instance, this package is worth $26.25 US, and I think I ended up paying all in all about 35 or 40 for these books Canadian. Now, of course, the books themselves were $1 US each, but the shipping is what gets you, and shipping to Canada does cost quite a lot. So these are from a shop called The Book Abyss, located in St. Paul, MN. You're going to have to translate for me. I have no idea which state MN stands for. But they're from this shop called The Book Abyss, and I'm just going to open them up and see which ones we've got, because I did order quite a few, and I ordered them from two separate shops, and I'm not remembering which shop is sending me which. So this is interesting. It's always fun when you order from used booksellers. They do interesting things with packaging. Here we have what appears to be a shredded wheat box and some blue electrical tape. Or maybe it's masking tape, it's hard to tell. So we'll open this up here. First thing on top are receipts and stuff. That's always nice to have those readily accessible. And whoops, inside we've got newspaper. I bet this will tell me where this is from. So this is the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Still doesn't tell me what state it's in. It does say twincities.com. There are a lot of Twin Cities. Minnesota, so I'm guessing MN stands for Minnesota. So this is from a bookshop in Minnesota. And goodness, there's quite a lot of newspaper here. Kudos to them for recycling. And all this stuff, all this paper, this cardboard, I can throw right in my blue bin and have it recycled by the City of Ottawa. So what I've got here are 6 books in these blue bags, and these look like the sort of bags that newspapers are delivered in. So I'm guessing perhaps they're Minnesota newspaper from St. Paul Press came in these, and they decided to reuse them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of these out of the bag, and then I'll show you what I've got. So these are all what I would call kind of vintage horror novels. The only one that I am familiar with is the Amityville Horror. by Jay Anson. And I did listen to this one on audiobook late last year, so I probably won't be rereading this one right away, but I greatly enjoyed it at the time, which is why I decided to get my own copy of this. And this is, of course, the very famous novel that's been turned into a film about the 1975 haunting of the Lutz family in this house, and it goes kind of along the lines of The Exorcist, only I actually enjoyed this one much more than The Exorcist. So we've got this one here, and oh, I can tell it's made the rounds of several used bookstores, so we can guess that before it made it to the Book Abyss, it was sold in the Book Zone, which I'm assuming is another used bookstore in the same city, because it also says St. Paul MN. So I've got this one. On to the stuff that I haven't read and that I know nothing about. A lot of these books I wasn't even able to see much of a plot synopsis. So the first one I've got here is Golgotha Falls by Audrey Rose. And it was really this kind of creepy, actually kind of beautiful cover that drew me to this one. So there appears to be a devil of some sort, a demon perhaps, behind this ornate stained glass of these two angels. So this one says, at Golgotha Falls, the first priest was found in the pulpit preaching to grinning rows of mangled, violated corpses. The second priest died in a gasping shudder of bestial delight in the screaming ecstasy only the damned can know. The serpent has fed. Now his power lures Father Malcolm, a saintly priest, and two scientists into the spreading stain of evil. Two men and a woman, devoured by unholy lusts of festering desire, pawns in the supreme confrontation between God's force and the never-ending horror of Satan's final assault. So that sounds quite dramatic. Could be horrible, could be quite entertaining and funny. I'm hoping it's creepy in a good way, and that the characters are interesting. That's all I can really ask from a horror novel. So I've got this one. And then I've got something called Offerings by T.M. Minton. The cover says, enslaved by bloodlust, they sacrifice their victims to a nameless god. If you've been following my channel for a while, you're probably thinking, these sound like something very different from what Amy would normally be reading, and they are, but this is kind of my latest obsession, my latest avenue that I'm wandering down in my reading journey. And these are all good fun, and I'm really enjoying the genre. So the back says, beware the sign of the ram. They came to the shores of New Guinea, a team of scientists eager to discover if there is any truth to rumors that a missing link in the chain of human development actually existed on the mysterious Seder Island. They found an incredible tribe, half man, half beast, whose bodies bore a spiral brand marking them as followers of an ancient cult of lust and blood. They died one by one, powerless to save their women from the creature's hideous rituals. Would anyone survive to tell the truth to a horror-stricken world? So that sounds like quite an odd one. And then we have the Hoonigan by J.N. Williamson. Another creepy cover here. The back says, Death Rights. In debt and desperately afraid of losing his job, Van Cerf was determined to do anything to please his boss. What he didn't count on was how far his loyalty was to be tested. Drawn into the ancient religion of Voodoo, Cerf was compelled to take part in bizarre rituals where the living conjured up the dead, and the dead commanded the living. Fearing for the safety of his young son, Cerf allowed himself to be a pawn in the company's black game, until a New Year's Eve ceremony threatened to draw him and those he loved forever into the dark world of the Hoonigan. So yeah, that sounds like quite an interesting one. And then I have Disturb Not the Dream by Paula Trachtman. And the back says, a 5-year-old screams in her sleep. A bloodied man hovers over a numble teenage girl. A mysterious beauty makes love to a ripe teenage boy. and a family must face the terrifying truth that ties them to a horrifying past and leads them towards a blood-curdling future. A heart-stopping tale of unrelenting fear. And then finally we have The Witch of Sixkill by R. Carl Largent. Beauty is skin deep, evil penetrates to the soul. And it's hard to see here, but on the cover there is kind of a woman's face with red eyes here. And the back cover says, Air Force Captain Charlie Fraser wanted revenge. His selfish brother had robbed him, his girlfriend had cheated on him, his boss had fired him, and his wife had left him. He wanted them to suffer, a lot. On a lark, he consulted Jubel Cairn, a tantalizing and reclusive beauty who agreed to help him settle the score. But soon Charlie's enemies were receiving gifts of unimaginable horror that unleashed nightmarish events on their recipients. And when one woman was brutally murdered, her heart carved out, it was clear that the prank had gotten out of hand. Charlie had wanted them scared, not dead. Now he just wanted out. But the Witch of Sixkill had other plans. And it also says that Largent is the master of sinister fiction. And it is a novel of ultimate revenge. So just quickly here, let's look at these publication dates. So this one, The Witch of Sixkill, is from 1990. It's vintage to me because I was not born yet. That's a good measure, right? It's vintage if I wasn't born yet. Disturb Not the Dream is from 1981. The Hungen is from, oh, that one's in Roman numerals, and my Roman numeral knowledge doesn't go up that high, but looks like 1980 something. The Offerings, or just Offerings, there's no the in that title. Offerings is from 1986. Audrey Rose is from 1984. And of course the Amityville Horror is from 1977 originally. So that is my beautiful mail haul today, and I'm probably going to dive right into one of these after I have my dinner. If you're into this kind of vintage horror or horror at all, I'd love to hear about some of your favorite vintage or even recent horror titles. And if you've read any of these, I'd also love to hear what you think of those. So have yourself a lovely day and a great evening.